It is so good to be here. Oh, I miss it down here. People are so old to this time. I hope you like to see my
Yeah!
Thank you. It's funny, I've done a lot of interviews, and it's just the energy that's created by the interviewer often. And because we had known Stacy since we were little kids, but then the beautiful thing is that there was a separation. We hadn't seen him for a long time. I think whatever it was, 15 years or so. You see him and you give him a hug 2-3 times. And so suddenly, we did all these things separately. And so one guy didn't know what the other was saying. And we just kind of squared him up, Stacy. And I couldn't believe what came up and how it put me in that place. Yeah.
Rodney, I know there are a lot of people who feel this way. A lot of syndrome with misfits, kind of outcasts. But you know what the Bones Brigade did for all of us, and for me living in rural Alabama, and I felt like I was part of the team. I mean, I would read the magazines, I would watch the videos, and I knew like somewhere, like y'all were out, because of y'all, I was able to function, you know, in a real conservative atmosphere. And I just want to thank you, and thank the Bones Brigade. And were y'all cognizant of that going on when you were on the road, or you were, you know, doing demos, and there were a whole group of people that were like yourselves that were just stranded in middle America, you know?
Because I grew up on this farm, I had some sense of that. But the sort of growing cognizance is sort of like a tree, you know, with each ring, each year. I mean, that cognizance has probably never reached a higher point than now. When I go around this, we are so used to being judged just by what we do and how we do it. But this film shows who we are and why we did it, how it happened, the fire within. And to see people connect with that and from an interior point of view, that sense of connectedness that we all seek, that's built into us. As much as we want to push it away and be misfits by definition, we need it. And so that connectedness, especially through this film, which keeps probably growing year to go around the world, in Russia and all these crazy places you go and you see brotherhood. And that's been the richest thing in my life.
Are you free to go skate after this?
I woke up when the streets were all blocked off. I was just skating in the streets while this was going on for most of it.
I wanted to go out there. I knew you were probably out there. I thought you were going out there.
I don't find a place to stay tonight. Thank you. Yeah.
I was kind of wondering, I remember I met you first in 1988 for a small shoe store in downtown Hood. You were doing a demo. And I met you again in like 1990, I think, just for the Graffiti Gallery. And we all went skateboarding and actually got attacked by this woman bees. And I know with everywhere you've been, I wonder if it's all of our years you ever remember these little bitty things that we all remember because we met right at the moment. But you've been through so many, you know.
And no, you're absolutely right. And these things are a blur. And what evokes these strong mystic stories exactly like that. You know, I think I remember that too. That is awesome. It's all about that. Yeah. It's good. Thanks for that. That's a good question. It's funny, the ones you're proud of that make you feel like impossibles, you know, that's cool. And then ones that are easy to do and just fun, it's that feeling. I think in terms of my favorite, the funnest to do is kickflip primos. Great, that should be perfect for them. Yeah. Because it's the sort of textures like the sounds of the axles, and because you're so used to the board just going this way and that, and because it goes everywhere, like you think you lock it, next thing you know, it's like a cartoon, you know, you're going to pull out. So that's what makes it fun, but I don't really know. I think the biggest thing for me is seeing what other people do with what I've done. It's not so much I made up that, but it's seeing how other people take kick flips and 60 flips and those bases. That gives me a sense of connectedness to future generations in a bigger way. That's a good question too. Of all the tricks, which was the hardest, or it took the most time. It was that's really specific because it's usually not what you think, you know? That's the hard thing about doing videos, because you put 2 years into whatever it takes these things to see on YouTube, and even your peers, the guys, when they're screening in downtown LA, and you know, that's all the guys in the audience, and they have it the wrong time. You know what I mean? Because even people who relate most don't anticipate what's hardest for you. And so I would think the one that I was hoping Stacey would show is a kickflip primo, back to another flip, back to another flip out. You know, that was probably the hardest type of thing, or that handstand flip nose really. But it's hard to say. It's sometimes sort of stacking points. Sorry, my man's it. Yeah.
Can you show us?
Oh.
Yes. What is? No, you're good. I love to.
Dance right
All right. I know at one time in the past you had talked about modifying your stance, where you would ride switch all the time. Are you still doing that?
Thank you for asking. That's a long and detailed question. Yes, it is. But the idea is to change your body in an infrastructural way so that there is no switch, and then do the switch tricks that could not be done switch because it's no longer switch.
Yeah. follow up to that real quick. Nope. No pressure, but are we going to see any new film anytime soon? Any new videos?
I'm so close.
Great.
If I can do this, that's the thing. It's one I talked about. Mistake was Tony about it. Is when do you quit? You know, when do you quit? And we both had aspirations of walking away when you're at your height, and then quitting cold turkey because we thought that sense of not being what you were in a public forum is the hardest thing. Or just feeling it and you cry. But that's not true at all. That's a romantic ideal. It's just, if I can do what I intend to do with this stance thing, then I will go at it with all my heart because I put so much into it. But if I don't, I'm not sure that I'll film anything publicly again. You know, just go out and flake nights. Never mind.
Thank you.
Wow, last question? That was hard. You picked the last person. Okay, primo. Yeah, I got you. Anyone from more than that? Yeah.
The film didn't really go into it, but you were one of the only freestyle skaters to kind of cross over into street. Could you talk about how that happened for a second?
Thank you. So I started freestyle, which was notably different because I had a barn, and then I passed on to what is not really so much covered in this. Tommy was an early guy for sure, street skating, where you use the native environment around you to sort of project or map your tricks onto it, and that's what 90+% of people do today. And they quit having freestyle contests, and I made a transition to that. In a sense, I restarted, which was so humbling, so humbling. I did a 10x talks. I did one on just this idea. To compress it into is to start fresh. What contests did for me by just thinking only about doing what you did for contests, that militated against the initial joy I had of creating because I was now skating for somebody else. And it, again, usurped or expropriated the sense of this is mine. Because it was no longer mine. It was in the judge's place. And street skating did the same for me. It liberated me of, oh wow, no more freestyle. To start fresh and be like a complete beginner, which was horrible because everyone knew who I was and they thought I was good. And so I go to these spots and they were like, oh, he's not good. And it was so horrible, but you pick up steam, you know. So that's been the biggest thing. That transition was rough. Is that what you actually asked?
Yeah.
Sure, of course. Or wherever they go.
A lot of people consider skateboarding an art form, consider it an outdoor sport. I've always been confused between what pro skateboarders think as the blur between art form and sport, or if there isn't necessarily in pro skateboarding. I mean, I've seen everything from on video skateboarding magazine to, last Rodney versus Day One, every one of those videos, and you wonder, like, this is performance art, but it's also a sport, which you can
Thank you. So did you guys catch that? Is skating more of an art or a sport? How do we as pros look at it? It's a very layered and involved question, but I think the general principle is this, that we as skateboarders are outsiders who seek a sense of belonging but on our own terms. And skateboarding itself is certainly a physical act, and it's harsh and it's gnarly, and these guys are good. So it's very physical, it's very much of a sport. However, when you boil it down to what we do, how we look at one another, there are kids out there that we use the term textbook, where they do everything textbook. It is, their timing, everything is stunning. The top guys I know, they can't compete with that. And so if you look at it as merely an athletic thing, like, okay, they're more athletic, you get the prize, but you know what? I get these tapes, sponsored tapes, where kids send in their best hits, and what can you do with them? And it would be filled with amazing stuff, athletically gifted kids. I can't do anything with them. Because skateboarding, as you see by the guys that are held in highest esteem, they are the ones who have individuated themselves by what they do in the most authentic way. When you watch them skate, by how they do and what they apply it to, you know something about them. And in this sense, it is very much an art. And that is, you have to do it through athletic means, but that's just a hurdle. And so the guys who get the most respect by far are the ones you just know who they are by what they do, because nobody can skate like them. And who would? You could shade them out, silhouette them, and pick them out in a second. That's the kind of guy that changes things. And so by his contribution of taking what we all share, these sort of vocabulary of tricks, he will take from that, he will pull from that, and give in a way that no one ever expected, and give it back to the community. And it is in sort of proportion to that offering is the respect he gets back. So in this sense, it is very much an art. Does that make sense?